Hello, everybody. It's Lisa Shield, and it is so lovely to see you all. This is Lunch with Lisa, and I am going to talk to you all today about being a high value woman. So, that's my topic for today. I want to talk about this because this is a topic that I hear all the time coming up with women, and yes, why is yeah, my assistant put this in at the wrong time. So anybody who saw the time today, it said that it was supposed to be Tuesday, and it's actually today. I do these on Mondays at lunchtime. So I do apologize for anybody who was looking for this and who didn't see it. I do these every Monday at noon. So today I'm going to talk about this term that really gets under my skin. And it's this idea of high value men and high value women. It really bugs me when I hear these cliched terms because I find them really, really, really offensive and cliched. And, anybody who knows me, I kind of like to go against the grain. So, why does it bug me so much when I hear about this idea of a high value woman or a high value man? Why does that feel so cliche to me? Right? It feels like this ridiculous title or this thing that I'm supposed to live up to that um that just feels like I'm living up to some other person's, idea. Um uh this other person's idea um of what I'm supposed to be, this like high caliber or high value woman. And it just sounds like it's a title, it's a cliche, right? The same way that when I hear a lot about feminine energy or being feminine or being masculine, a lot of these terminologies, I hear them and then it makes my skin crawl. Yes, Patricia, wife material. But wife material according to whom, right? Like these ideas really bug me. And I do feel like there is a lot to be said for words and how we use our words and how we define these things for ourselves. So, my husband and I were doing our Facebook Live last week on Sunday, and we were talking about what makes a miraculous marriage. And this whole thing came up about a woman actually initiating, a woman really being in her power and being able to initiate with men, and how so many men say, or how so many dating coaches will tell women that you have to lean back and that you can't, that men are intimidated by women with power and all of these things. And when I think about this idea of a high caliber or a high value woman, what really comes across to me personally is that this is kind of a stereotype, right? Like, I'm a high value woman. It's like something that we aspire to. And what I would say to you is, I would actually reframe that. It's not a thing that you're trying to be, a high value woman. I'm going to actually challenge that. And I'm going to invite every one of you, instead of trying to be a high value or a high caliber woman, I invite you to start to become a woman who values herself, a woman who values herself, or a woman who knows her value. Do you all see the difference? Can you feel the difference in saying it that way? I am a woman who values herself. I am a woman who knows her value. Instead of a noun, a high value woman, you are creating a verb. I am a woman who knows her value. Do you get that? I am a woman of substance. I am a woman who values herself. This is a verb. It is an action. It is a state of being instead of a label, a title, something that is abstract. I don't know what it is to be a high value woman, according to all of these other coaches. I don't know what that means, right? But I know what it means to be a woman who values herself. And I want you to start to think about it in these terms instead of trying to ascribe to somebody else's idea of what that looks like. So, how does a woman who values herself behave? How does she move through the dating world? How does she interact with men? Right? A woman who values herself knows the value that she has. She prides herself on being a woman of substance. When she's sitting on a date with a man, she treats herself with the highest regard. She doesn't allow men to take advantage of her. She expects that if she's putting herself out there and showing up, she knows that she deserves the same respect from a man. She will not allow a man to treat her without consideration because she values herself too much to sit around and wait for any man to show up for her, right? She knows her worth. She knows what she's worth. So Aria says, I am ready for a real relationship to start a family, but I don't know how to meet a man. I have given up, and that's scary. Aria, I invite you to go to lisashield.com and watch my presentation. And it's just 45 minutes. It's completely free. And if you like what you hear, then you and I can jump on a call and I would be happy to help you with this. It's a shame you never want to give up on love. When you give up on love, you give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Get the right help so that you can get this solved. I struggled for years. I didn't value myself and I put up with all kinds of crap from men. I lowered my standards. I was willing to accept anything because I didn't know my true value. I didn't know what I was worth. I didn't realize what a quality woman I was. And so because I wasn't valuing what I had to offer men, I was sitting there on dates and I was basically in the waiting to be chosen mode. How many of you are in the waiting to be chosen mode with men? How many of you go out on dates and you're really just sitting there hoping and praying that it's going to click, that this man and you are going to actually like each other, that he's going to call you for a second date? How many? I know that it's hard. You don't have to post this. You don't have to respond to that. But I just want you all to think about how many of you go on dates and you're just wishing and hoping and praying for a miracle. You're successful. You have maybe great kids. You have a wonderful relationship with your girlfriends, with your friend circle. You know, you have financial means to go and do all the things that you want to do. And yet you go on dates with men and you just cross your fingers and you're sitting there hoping that it's going to work, that there's going to be a miracle. Instead of showing up on that date, knowing what you're worth, realizing that you're a kind woman, you're a loving woman, you're a woman with very little drama in her life, you're a great listener, you're caring, you're nurturing. You know how to make a man feel like a man. Or as my husband says, you can mirror his masculinity back to him. Very few women really know how to do these things and do them well. You know how to open your heart to receive a man, and you know how to bring a man into his heart when he's sitting across from you. You're fun, you're playful, you love male energy, you know how to love being a woman, right? You love being a woman and you love playing with that energy, that male energy, and you know how to do that and have fun on a date with a man. You know how to set him at ease and bring him into his heart. These are the things that a woman who knows her value with men knows how to do. You know how to ask for what you want from a man in a playful and inviting way. When a man says to you, what are you looking for in a relationship? You don't give him, well, I want this and I want that and I want that and I want this. You can look at a man and you can respond in a way to that question that is so inviting, that is so playful and fun, that that man is going to sit up and think, wow, she's different than any other woman I've ever met. That sounds like what I'm looking for. If you want to capture the heart of the right man and you're a woman who values herself, who knows her value, you will know how to ask for what you want from a man in a heartfelt way, in a way that's inviting and playful. These are all skills that women who value themselves and know what their value is with a man know how to do. If you're not doing these things, I can teach you how to do them, because this is the stuff that really creates value with men. Too many women place way too high a value on their career, on their earning potential. They're bringing their resume. That's not what's going to turn a guy on. That's not what's going to make a guy want to pick you out of all the other women out there. He's going to admire the fact that you're successful in your career. Don't get me wrong. He will admire you, but he's going to admire you the same way he would admire any man who's got a successful career. Success in your career is not what makes you a woman who values herself. It has to do with how you carry yourself with men. Knowing men, knowing how to connect with them, knowing how to really make a beautiful, heartfelt connection with that man sitting across from you. Knowing what you're worth, knowing what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. Having high standards and boundaries and showing up that way yourself. A woman who values herself, she doesn't get dramatic. She doesn't put too much stock in a guy until he proves himself to her. She doesn't prove herself to men. She doesn't have to. A woman who values herself knows that the truth is a man has to prove himself to her. He's got to show up for her. He's got to be willing to treat her like gold. He's got to be willing to make time for her. He has to be willing to make her feel safe and comfortable. He's got to be willing to take the lead in moving the relationship forward on certain fronts. She's going to do her part to be receptive, to be appreciative, to show gratitude, to mirror his masculinity back to him. But she knows what she's looking for in a partner, and she's not going to settle for anything less. She won't be a bitch or she won't be a jerk if a man makes a mistake. She knows how to let a man know that she's disappointed without saying, hey, you disappointed me, or shaming him. She knows how to actually talk to a man without making him feel small. If you do that, you're going to emasculate men, and they're not going to feel safe around you, and they're not going to come back again. So a woman who values herself, who knows her value, she knows how to talk to a man. She knows how to ask for what she's looking for. She knows how to say this in a way that a man is going to be, um, whoops, having a little technical difficulty here. Just saying hi to everybody who's coming on the call. But a woman who knows her value, this isn't about how much money you earn. It's not about how successful you are in your career. Being a woman who values herself is being a woman who understands men, who knows how to be with a man, who knows how to hold her power as a woman when she's sitting across from a man, who knows how to make a man feel like a man when he's in her company. These are the ways that we value ourselves as women. That is what you have to learn how to do on a date. And first and foremost, you need to be a woman who is in her heart. One of the things that I find really annoying about so much love coaching these days is that so many love coaches are all about strategies and techniques for hooking a man's attention. I don't teach any of that stuff. What I teach women is how to be in their hearts and how to love and appreciate men, how to have compassion for men. Many, many women today, they're just trying to get a man to pay attention to them. To me, the single most important thing that we have to learn how to do as women is learn how to open our hearts and connect at an emotionally naked level with a man. That is how you're going to get a man to want to spend the rest of his life with you. So this is about learning how to love, how to open your heart and get him to open his heart to you. Does that make sense? I'm curious if this all makes sense. But this idea of I'm a high value woman and I'm looking for a high value man, this is so gamey. Just the languaging around it is such a game. It's just like anytime we put labels on things, anytime you start to label something, a label becomes a thing, a noun. And then you start to, these are all the things, ... that fit that label, right? You're putting like, he's a real man, or she's a real woman, or this is what's masculine, or this is what's feminine. And suddenly you're putting a label. Labels limit us. They limit us. They don't create something that's actually an action. They actually create a limited lens through which we're looking at something. And so anytime you start putting labels, they talk about this a lot in spirituality, that once we start labeling something like he's a real man or she's this or whatever, you start, you're putting a label and it's almost like you're objectifying something. When I say that it's better to aspire to being a woman who values herself, that's an action. That's something that every one of us can look inside of ourselves and start to ask ourselves, and what does it look like for me to start to value myself with men? What does that look like? How does that feel, right? For me to, and then you take action. You're actually taking action, right? Because it's a verb, not a noun. It is a verb. And so you start to ask yourself, who do I need to be in order to show up as a woman who values herself in front of men, right? When I think about being a high caliber woman, to me, I think about putting on certain clothes, walking in like I have a cool job and I'm really successful and you need to prove yourself to me. Like, can you afford me? Can you live up to my standards? When I think about being a woman who values herself, that points this back at me. Does that make sense? I'm pointing this back at myself and saying, okay, Lisa, how are you going to demonstrate that you are a woman who takes pride in who she is, that you value who you are with men? How are you going to demonstrate to this man in your way of being when you sit across from him on a date that you are a woman who values herself? Can you see the mindset shift there? There's a completely different state of mind. For some of you, you may be sitting there saying, I don't know, they're the same thing. They're not. They're not. Every time I hear this cliche from a million different love coaches today, you need to be a high caliber woman. You're looking for a high caliber man. No, I'm looking for a man who values himself, who values who he is, who demonstrates to me. High caliber man is an attitude, right? That's an attitude. I want to see a man who values himself, who values who he is. There's a big difference here, ladies. Huge. And the more I think about it and talk about it, the more I see the wisdom in what I'm saying. This is something that just, I always heard the terminology high caliber woman, high caliber man, or high value woman and high value man. And it really always kind of, there was just, how when you hear something and it just doesn't feel right to you, and it's kind of like you get that little feeling in your gut that just, it doesn't feel right. Something is off about it. That's how I've felt whenever I've heard somebody use those terms. And as I'm talking about this, and as I talked about it yesterday in the car with my husband, I really started to see why that bothered me so much. And it's because it's just a term, but it's, and we just take it at face value. Like, yeah, I'm a high caliber woman. I'm going to go on dates and I'm going to act like I'm high caliber. No, I'm going to act like I'm a woman who values herself, a woman who sees her own value, right? And moves through life knowing that she deserves the best, but that she also values herself enough to show up with kindness and caring and thoughtfulness and compassion for other people. Aria says, I used to be very insecure, but over the years, I came across self-development and healing and training and learned to value myself. However, in the past 6 years, I have not met anyone. I don't know how to love again. Aria, you really need to go watch my presentation and we need to talk, because one of the problems, and I'm going to be frank, one of the problems with a lot of self-help and self-development is that it works on you. Like it's all this stuff to pump you up and give you all of these ideas about how to be self-love and all of this stuff. But one of the things I found when I was going out and I was working on myself, I did years of self-help and personal growth work, years and years when I got out of my first marriage. And what I saw was that I was becoming a better and better version of me, but I still wasn't attracting great men. And what I realized was that I could keep doing all this work on myself, but it wasn't solving this problem. I had to learn how to date, how to talk to men, how to open up emotionally with men, how to connect with them. This was huge for me, huge. Jackie is asking, how do you show your feminine energy? I've been told that I'm a very alpha female and I can be intimidating or emasculating. So Jackie, again, I'm going to suggest that you go and watch my presentation. I have a free 45-minute presentation that's eye-opening for women. Some women have said it's the best they've ever seen. If you like what you hear, just stay to the end of the presentation, and you and I can jump off on a call together, and I will answer this question for you. We'll talk about how to do this. A big piece of this is not to put on an act and like have feminine energy, but the way I do this is pretty different from other coaches. So when I work with my clients, we start, one of the biggest pieces of all of this is that I teach you how to have compassion for men and how to open up your heart, how to be vulnerable, and get emotionally naked. Men want to be with women that they feel safe opening up to. And if you don't learn how to sink into your heart and open up your heart to a man isn't able to open up his heart to you. So many women today complain about exactly what you're talking about, that you're intimidating or emasculating. And the reason for that is because you've got to start to sink into your heart and have more compassion for men. You need to start to understand what men want from you beyond sex. And you can't, it's a whole process, honey. It's just a whole process. It's a beautiful process. But I'd love to talk to you. I would love to talk to you, because what I find is that women who work with me, this is really gratifying for them when they start to make this switch. And the beauty of the work that you're going to do with me is that I don't show you how to sit there and just wait for men to chase you or do things that feel inauthentic. I'm going to show you how to do this in a beautiful way, Jackie, that is going to be so rewarding for you. And unlike other coaches, I show you how to take what I call the feminine lead. So you're going to still lead. You're just going to do it in a very feminine way. Thank you, Anna. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Anna is a personal client. And so, and we've been kind of connecting. We actually connected on a Facebook Live originally, and she became one of my clients through a Facebook Live. So thank you, Anna. Yeah, I'm going to be your cheerleader. I'm going to give you hope. If for any of you who feel like you've lost hope and that you're giving up, you don't have to do that. I will show you a beautiful way to regain your confidence and your power with men and find true love, really have a truly loving, lasting relationship with a beautiful man. So ladies, I have to run. My time is up. Thank you to everybody who showed up, Jackie and Aria and anybody else who wants to speak to me personally about how to get this solved. Please know you do not have to go another day without love. I just did a completion call with one of my clients. Her name, I won't tell you her name, but this 31-year-old woman had been, had a horrible experience with a man that she was in love with. He just turned around, did a 180, pulled out of the relationship. She was devastated. She thought they were going to spend the rest of their lives together. And she signed up to work with me. She was like, well, I don't know. Should I work with you? Should I work with a breakup coach? And she decided to do my course. She said 3 months or a little over 3 months later, we just did her completion call. She met the most wonderful guy. And she said, Lisa, I would have wound up. She said, Lisa, I wouldn't be where I am right now if it hadn't been for doing your course. And I really think that this is my guy. She said, we're on the same page. He's a few years older than me. He's talking about marriage and a future together. So I can help you regain faith and trust in men and dating and this whole process. Please don't let your love life pass you by. I can show you how to cross meet my soulmate off your to-do list forever. What I can tell you is I do 3 Facebook Lives each week. So I do I do lunch with Lisa on Monday at noon Mountain Time. I do live with Lisa on Tuesdays at at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And then my favorite one of all is the one I do with my husband, Benjamin. It's called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. And we do that one together at 10 a.m. Mountain Time every Sunday. So please join me for any of those Facebook Lives. And also, I have 2 new podcasts. I have Dating Without Drama, which you can find wherever you get your podcasts. And then my last one is we've turned Getting Inside the Right Male Mind into a podcast. If you miss it live, you can always see the podcast version. I send you lots and lots of love. Please go to lisashield.com and watch my presentation. And let's jump on a call and get this solved so you can get on with having the life of your dreams. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.